Hello, viewer. Welcome to R with Oliver, episode 3. My name is Oliver, and let's talk about R. In this episode, I wanted to introduce matrices and data frames, and also introduce these functions right here. I've also included the functions we already know at the top, just as a handy reference. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and make a matrix. We're going to call it my matrix, and we create a matrix with the matrix function called matrix. And let's say we want 10 rows and 10 columns, and the values 1 to 100. So let's just try it out, 1 to 100, see what happens. So it definitely made a matrix. Let's check it out and see if it's what we want. And it looks like it is definitely not what we want. It looks like we got one column with 100 rows. So this is definitely not what we want. And so remember, if you're ever curious about a function or how to use it or how to, use it differently, remember you can go over to the console with a question mark and type in the name of the function. So let's go ahead and check out the matrix function, and let's see how we can fix our little problem right here. So down here in usage, you can see the name of the function and then all of the possible arguments. An easier way, if you go down to arguments, here's all the arguments. They're pretty cool. And you can notice that the second argument is n row, which stands for the number of rows. And we also have n col, which stands for the number of columns. And you can see right here, the desired number of rows, and here, the desired number of columns. So all we need to do is go over here and add a second argument to this function call. And let's do n row, and let's just equal it to 10. And this will explicitly force our matrix to give us 10 rows, and then by consequence, 10 columns. So pretty cool. We can get into a couple of these first functions right here. So as expected, the ncall function gives us the number of columns of an object, and nrow gives us the number of rows. So if we call the ncall function on our matrix we created, my matrix, as expected, it gives back 10 because that's the number of columns. And the number of rows of my matrix, as expected, is, little typo, it's not n rows, it's n row. Cool, is 10. And so, just for example, let's do an up arrow a couple times. Let's redefine the matrix to have 5 rows. Now, let's look at it again. And you'll see, here, let's give ourselves a bit more real estate. Let's print it again to the console. And there you can see what's going on. We have 20 columns and 5 rows. And now, just to kind of reiterate, what's the n row of my matrix? It's going to be 5, right? And the n col of my matrix is now 20. Pretty cool. Okay. And so we can also talk about dim and structure. So let's just talk about dim real quick. The dim stands for dimensions. So dimensions of my matrix, 520, right? Rows and columns. Pretty cool. And the structure, str, of the object tells you a whole bunch of stuff. For this simple matrix, it's pretty basic. Tells you the data type, and it tells you number of rows and columns, and it gives you a preview of the data. Pretty cool. And remember, we can do type of my matrix, right? And it's an integer matrix, as expected. And we can check out the class of my matrix, and it's a matrix. And that kind of makes sense because matrix is not a data type, but rather a data structure. Pretty cool. And we can check out the names of my matrix. And it's null because it doesn't have any names. And so let me scroll out a bit. These up here are where the names should be, but these are just placeholders essentially of the index. So the first column, first index, right? If you wanted to change the names, you could do something like the call names feature. So let's go ahead and use that real quick. Let's go call names of my matrix, and then you assign it the names. So it's a bit weird, but it works out. So it's a character vector, right? Of all the names. So we could say, first name and then go down. Since there are 20 of them, what we could do is just give it integer names. So a little complicated, but what this is going to do, 1:20 will make an integer vector of 1 to 20. Let's do it here just to make sure you know what it looks like, right? And then it's going to apply it to the call names of my matrix. So let's go ahead and run this. No issues there. Now let's look at my matrix. And remember, it's pretty long, so, or wide. Let's get it out, some space. Print it. And as you can see, we now have names, 1 to 20. And these can be numbers or letters. Pretty cool. You can do row names as well, but we'll get into those in a minute. But yeah, let's get into data frames. The meat and potatoes of R. So data frames are by far the most preferred data structure. They are what you kind of want to, your goal is getting a nice data frame. Whether you're given a data set or you downloaded a data set, you kind of want to get a nice data frame in place before you begin your any analysis or building models or making graphs. Lists and matrices are used as well, but not as often. Yeah, data frames are definitely what we strive to make. And so the main definition of a data frame is every row is an observation and every column is a variable. So let's go ahead and make a data frame. We'll call it my df, and it's made with data.frame. And so each argument to the data.frame function is a column in the resulting data frame. So the one thing to note too is with the matrix, every element of the matrix has to be the same data type. So these are all integers in this matrix. And so for example, we couldn't replace some of these values with characters or doubles or logicals, right? They all have to be the same. The great thing about a data frame is each column needs to be the same, right? But different columns, which are different variables, can have different data types. So for example, we can say 1 to 3. So the first column will be, the integers 1 to 3. And let's do the second column as, say, a vector of true, false, true, right? That's fine. And the third variable or the third column could be something like 1.2, 5.5, and 8.7, and that's totally fine. And then we can also go ahead and name our columns, and I'm just going to put these down here for a little organization. So our integer column can be called integer column. That's fine. This can be called our logical column. And this third one can be called our double column. And now we kind of know which one is which. Let's go ahead and execute this line. Keep in mind, this is one line of code. And now we have my df. Let's go ahead and look at it. And you'll see we have lots of great stuff going on here. We have 3 observations of 3 variables. Our first variable is called integer column, second variable logical column, third variable double column, and no issues with each column being a different data type. And we can kind of just check out all the functions we know. So let's go back to the length function. What's the length of my matrix? It's 100. So what it's doing is it's going up and down each element, and it's the total number of elements in the matrix. What's the length of my data frame? It's 3. And so this is a 3x3 data frame. So it could be a bit confusing. So just to kind of confirm what we're looking at, let's make it 4. Let's add a 4th element to each column, right? Rerun this, up arrow twice. Let's look at the length, 3 still. So, and keep in mind, this is what my data frame looks like now. So we know that the length of the data frame is the number of columns. right? Because the columns are the important thing. It's the variables. The number of rows is essentially just how much data was collected in the data set, right? Cool. So let's look at the other functions on our data frame. So we can, do encall of myDF, right? And what is encall again? The number of columns, right? So that's the same as the length. The length of the data frame is the same as the number of columns. And number of rows, right? As expected is 4. We can look at the structure, right? And this will tell us a bit more than the matrix before, right? So we have what we're looking at, the number of observations with the number of variables, right? That's how a data frame is set up. Remember how I said that? That we have the name of each column. We have the data type of each column, right? So integers, logical, numeric, and even a preview. So right now it's showing every element of the column, right? Every data point. But you can imagine if there were like 100,000 rows, 500,000 rows, it would only give a preview of the data right here. It wouldn't spit out everything. And so one more thing I want to note, you could change the names of the columns of our data frame we created. So you just do call names of myDF, and you could assign that, say, A, B, C. And that will now, let's execute that. Now our names of our data frame are A, B, C. And that's the way we can redo the names. And so talking about row names, remember that each column is a variable and each row is an observation. So having really good variable names is very important. You reference them and they mean something. Having row names is much less important. A new row is a new observation. So it's like, it doesn't make much sense to give it a unique name. And very rarely will you see rows with names. Sometimes you'll download a data set or be given a data set, and for example, the variable names will be in the rows, and that's just a massive headache and a lot of data cleaning you have to do. Ideally, the variables are in the columns and the rows are just observations. So I hope whatever data you're working with is nice and clean, but you could manipulate the row names with the row names function. So for example, I can say row names of myDF, and I could just say, the same thing as the columns. That's fine. Let's just do that. Remember there's 4, so we will need a D. Let's do that. Looks like we got an error. And why did we get an error? We forgot the C. No worries, let's put a C. Let's rerun that again. Let's look at myDF. And as you can see, now we have row names. Pretty cool. Not really used much. Generally advise against using row names. And I like the indices of the row to be there. So yeah, there you go. Column names, which are very important, and row names, which are much less important. One more thing I wanted to note, you can call the names function on the data frame. So names of myDF is exactly the same as the column names of myDF. So generally people just use names, but it's nice to know that the call names out there, because it kind of matches the row names. But yeah, generally people see just say, hey, what are the names of that data frame? And they're talking about the column names. So I think this is everything I wanted to cover in the 3rd episode. This has been R with Oliver episode 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.